Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Scott Branson with silverandblacktoday.com. And, of course, Silver and Black Today on CBS Sports Radio 1140 a.m. Just wanted to hop on and just do some Q&A tonight. We had our show yesterday. Hope you listened to it. Benjamin Albright was on, had a lot to say about Kyler Murray and the Raiders draft picks and all that. So I wanted to just get your view of that and let you know that we're out here. So tonight's tonight's live video brought to you by our two sponsors. That's the Laborers Local 872, our first sponsor, our marriage sponsor. Want to thank them for bringing this to you as well. Also, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I'm watching the Periscope feed. Thanks for the compliment. The Local 872, and also Attorney Michael Troiano, if you have criminal defense needs, whether it's a simple DUI, simple anything, or something more major, you can check out TroianoVegasLaw.com. Michael Troiano, also a longtime sponsor and a guest on our show. He's our legal expert, too, helps us with stuff. Okay, so let's jump right in. You can ask questions here. I'm going to jump between platforms. So give me a second to get to all your questions. I know on Periscope it goes much faster, so we'll get there too. And hey, Fred on Facebook, thanks for joining us, man. Kyler Murray. So it's a very touchy situation. What's the odds? Chucky's back. What's the odds? I don't know. So here's the thing: a lot of people get upset when you talk about it because of Derek Carr, right? The Raiders have a quarterback, supposed to be their franchise quarterback. I like Derek Carr personally. So when I talk about Kyler Murray, doesn't mean I'm saying they should do it. Raider fans get very emotional and upset and got some hate spewed at us when we published a story by our own Kelly Kreiner last week about it. And that's not what it's about. It's just about exploring. You don't know what's going to happen. If I told you this time last year that they were going to trade Khalil Mack, you would have thought I was crazy, correct? You might still think that the Raiders are crazy for doing it, but it happened. So I think it's worth exploring and what's going on out there. So with Kyler Murray, I'm not convinced on him. I'm just giving you my personal opinion now. I don't necessarily think you want to draft a 5'8" quarterback and make him your number 4 pick overall in the first round of the 2019 draft. That said, he's an amazing athlete. He does have skill. He can throw the ball. He can run. He's a very physical athlete. At the same time, I'm not sure that he fits. And you have to look at, does it fit the system? Does it fit the Raiders' plans? That's another question. We don't know yet, right? We heard John Gruden down at the Senior Bowl say something that his perspective on the model quarterback has changed. Well, I think a lot of people read into that too much because at the same time, the quarterback position has changed considerably as the game has changed, as we've seen more and more incredible athletes play that position and have a different type of offense come in, not into the NFL, but to the college game. I think that those are things that change, So for him saying that, I don't think that is really a big deal or that you should read too much into it at all, to be frank with you. But at the same time, it's something that you have to look into. And, Bobby, good to have a good backup quarterback. I agree. That's where I'm thinking, personally, if I had to bet on it today, I would tell you that I think the Raiders do go get a quarterback, and they might even draft one, but I don't think it's going to be in the first round. It could be in the third or fourth round. There's some guys out there who could slip. This is not the stellar quarterback class that you're going to see over the next couple years with a couple of quarterbacks coming out, Tua coming out next year and others. So to me, there's no pressing need to go get a quarterback. I think Derek Carr deserves a second year in that system, and I think he's going to flourish, frankly. I know a lot of folks disagree with me, and they don't want to believe in Derek Carr, and that's your right. I'm not telling you how you should think, but at the same time, I think that in the game of professional football, you have to constantly look at what you're doing with your team and your roster. On our show this week, Kelly Kreiner, who co-hosted with me this week, had some words about Kyler Murray and talked about if the Raiders were to draft him. I'm going to play you that clip now on what Kelly said around Kyler Murray. Check it out.
It's come up that, obviously his name's being thrown out there. And the whole part of the story was that if you might be able to, some of the earlier moves they make in free agency and things like that might be kind of lead us to believe even more that they're going to draft Kyler Murray. Because, like I said, this isn't a guy that you can just throw out there and play. You're going to have to kind of cater your offense, your offensive line. You're going to have to make some, have some specific packages and everything just for him to start out with, because we don't have a precedent for his size. This isn't something you've seen before. So my whole thing was, if they're going to make this decision, they need to do it now, because the last thing they want to do is just throw him out there after, like, if they decide draft time after free agency and everything's done, they just throw him out there. It could be a disaster. It could be the greatest thing ever. We don't know, but you kind of have to have some steps in place before you make this decision.
So there you go. That's what Kelly had to say on our show on Sunday. So he brings up some good points. And Surfer Bob, yeah, there's your shout out, brother, on YouTube. Thanks for listening, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so, and Bob, I hear what you're saying about the quarterback. No, will they draft a quarterback? And what I'm assuming you mean is, no, they will not draft a quarterback in the first round with a number 4 pick. I don't disagree, but the possibility is there. Again, no one thought that the Raiders would trade Khalil Mack. No one thought. Including me. In the summer, I said, you know what? He's going to be there by camp. And then when camp rolled around, I said, okay, he'll be there by the second preseason game. And then we saw what happened. So you can't rule anything out. So those are some of the interesting things with Kyler Murray and what he brings to the table. You're going to take a big risk on it. And I think that, I don't know. We don't know what John Gruden's going to do and what their plan is, so we'll see on that one. But looking at some of your questions here, do you think Coach Gruden makes a run at Le'Veon Bell? 2 of you asked that question, as a matter of fact. Good question, guys. I don't know. I would like to see them do that. I just don't know that they're going to want to spend the money on a Le'Veon Bell, but they may. I think what we had also on the show, I'm going to play another clip for you here in a second. Also on the show, we had Benjamin Albright, as you guys know, and he talked about what the Raiders might do with the draft. And one of the things he said, and this maybe plays into the considering Le'Veon Bell camp, which is the idea that the Raiders should draft defense and buy offense, right? And he's going off Gruden's history when he was at Tampa Bay and, of course, with the Raiders before. And what Benjamin said, in essence, was, look, you're going to draft. It's such a deep draft. So that's the other thing you got to consider, guys. It's a deep draft on the defensive line and at linebacker, cornerback. There's good defensive backs out there as well. And so what his contention was, and I'll play the clip here. What his contention was that, hey, look, it's so deep. You got to go get those defensive guys. And then you can go supplement, because it's a 2-year plan. Let's face it. You got next year and then the first year here in Vegas in 2020. To kind of build this team into more of a consistent winner and a playoff team. And so his point was they're going to draft defense because of who's available and then go by offense. So let me put this up here so you can see what Benjamin had to say. So here's Benjamin Albright and what he said about the Raiders.
I do know that John Gruden likes Kyler Murray. I don't think that's I do know that John Gruden likes Kyler Murray. I don't think that's likely at this point, but I do know he likes him. I think they'll probably go defense. John's philosophy and the way that things have worked for him in the past have always been kind of, draft and build a defense and buy an offense. So they would continue to plug and play and use free agents on the offensive side of the ball and build a defense with those draft picks. I think it's probably the intelligent thing to do based on where the Raiders roster is right now. The Raiders need help all over the defensive side of the ball. That's no secret. So I think that, if I'm the Raiders, I'm looking at what's the best player available at 4. Is it one of the pass rushers that's left? Is there a top-tier pass rusher there? Maybe one of the corners. But that's probably the direction that I would go. If I were the Raiders, I would look at 4 as potentially actually a trade back spot. If I'm inclined to get an offer from maybe the Jags or the Giants, where I don't have to move back too far, I can still get a top-tier player. And I can continue to multiply picks for the future, because one draft is not going to solve this team. They're in a rebuild. We all know that. And so there's no use of, in pretending. So.
All right. Well, there you go. So there was Benjamin talking about the Raiders and what they might do in the draft. And I'm watching some comments here on Facebook. Raider Noel, I don't know why this isn't even a segment. Murray is not in the conversation to be a great quarterback. Who says? You say. Other people disagree with you. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying to dismiss any conversation around any player at this point, I don't think is fair, nor is it right. I think you debate stuff. I'm not saying you're wrong. Again, I'm just saying that you can have these debates and you can have these questions as it relates to players, especially college players that are coming out for the draft. And yeah, I agree on Carr. I think that you need to give him another chance. You need to give him more time. I think he can be that quarterback. Again, not everybody agrees with me, and I see folks on there too. And Bob, you're on there talking about Mark Davis. Derek is Mark's guy. He will retire a Raider. Don't know. We'll see. Things change, man. It's a business, so you have to always remember that. And I think that could be good. With Cook possibly gone, who's Carr going to trust? You find players, man. I mean, I think I like Cook. I think that they would be wise to sign him. At the same time, 31 years old, tight end. There's some good young tight ends in the draft, and there's some guys that'll be up on the street too from the NFL that I think you can go to. So I don't want to overpay if I'm the Raiders for an older tight end, as good as he's been and as comfortable as Carr is. I think there's other options out there, so you can do it. All right, what do we got? We got Raider Jude. Even with beast mode possibly playing in 19, running back is a major need. Chris Warren is so unproven. Agree there. I think Chris Warren is like the backup quarterback when you're having quarterback problems. Everybody loves them, right? Because they haven't seen him. They haven't touched the field. And you saw him a little bit in preseason. He did pretty well. He's a nice young kid. Great story. And so people suddenly, Chris Warren's the answer. I don't think so either. I don't think Lynch will be back. That's what I said last year, and he came back. So, but I think this year is a little bit different. Serious question. Are you a Raiders fan or a football fan? Again, love the podcast. That's from Jude. You know what, Jude? I am not. I did not grow up a Raider fan. Truth be told, I don't hide the fact I grew up a Charger fan. I know what you're going to say. So you can imagine how miserable my existence was. But no, I grew up a Charger fan in about 2013. I knew they were leaving San Diego, and I had kind of lost steam. The ownership there kind of killed my fandom. So the Raiders, to me, I'm not a Raiders fan. This is not a fan podcast, a fan radio show, or a fan website. There's great, fantastic fan-oriented websites and podcasts out there. I listen to them. I love them. They all do a great job, and they serve their purpose. That's not what I am. I'm not a Raider fan. When I talk about the Raiders, I talk about them from an objective point of view. I try to always bring to you my opinions, of course, but also what I think is objectively what they should do. I'm a fan of the Raiders doing well. I'll put it that way, because the Raiders are coming to Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is my home. My wife was born and raised here. My kids were born here. And so for me, and of course I have a business now built around it. And so for me, I want them to do well. It means a lot to our community, as tough as it is and as bad as I feel for the folks in Oakland who are losing their team. For us here in Las Vegas, we're gaining a team, and so I want them to do well, and I want Raider fans to come and enjoy Las Vegas. So that's the answer to that question. If you want that one, what else? Tevin Coleman would be great fit. Enjoy the show. Thanks, man. Yeah, you know what? There's so many names out there, and everybody's got opinions. And the one thing I love about Raider Nation is the fact that you guys are all well informed. It's a very emotional fan base. That's the one thing I'll tell you, having not grown up and been a lifelong Raider fans like most of you have been. I'm always shocked at how smart and intelligent most Raider fans are, and also how emotional you guys get. And boy, you say an opinion about, like we talk about Derek Carr. I got people who DM me constantly is get off Carr's jock. You're married to Carr. You're this, you're that. And then I get people who say, I bring up Kyler Murray, or I bring up Ryan Finley, a guy out of North Carolina State, another quarterback I think could be a backup for the Raiders in the draft. They all say, Derek Carr is great. Why do you hate Carr? Well, I don't hate Carr. I like Carr a lot. So to me, it's one of those deals where everybody's emotional. Everybody's got such a desire to win and do well, and that's a big deal. It's been a long time since the Raiders were great. One playoff season in the last 17. It's tough, and so I get it. And I'm still, even though I'm not a Charger fan any longer, I am a Padres fan, so I know the pain. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2006, so I get it. And they've never won a World Series. But so I get that stuff. But I think that Raider fans just want what's best for their team. They don't. Not everybody agrees with one another on how they get there. But let's see. Let's get here. You don't equate what happened. This is from Wendy Pierre. The Mac situation now. Mac, I don't show if Derek Carr lives to be a Raider. No doubt about it. I agree with you there. I think McCarron's not the answer either, by the way. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying there, and it's not about equating one player to the other. My point, Wendy, just to make it clear, on the Mac situation was the fact that anything can happen. Not that it should happen, not that they're the same reason why they would happen, because obviously the Mac situation and the agent and the ownership and Gruden and all that was so much different. But with Carr, it comes down to whether or not they're going to believe that he is the guy to get them there. And I tend to agree with the people who say we're not at a place right now where we know what the team's going to do, because we don't know what the team's going to do. But I do think that the team itself, again, if I had to bet on it today, I would tell you that I don't believe that they will draft a quarterback at number 4 this year in the draft. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's a tough thing. Everybody wants that player that's going to get them over the hump and do it, and one player's not going to do it this year, and I don't think Kyler Murray would be that guy. I'm a Raider now. Thanks, Homer. So let's see. AJ. Hey, man. AJ, good to see you, brother. Coleman has keep underplaying. What do you think? Keep Richard and Warren, but draft Darrell Henderson, new blood. Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys there. There's some value, I think, in the draft out there, and they might even plug some holes with some free agents. They do need help at run. I mean, they need help everywhere, guys. Let's face it. It's not just one position. And so to me, how they'll fill these will be very interesting. And I think the next 2 years will be a progression. I think you'll see guys drafted, guys signed this year that you won't see next year when they get here to Las Vegas, and vice versa. So it'll be quite fascinating to see what's up to sleeve. I'm really looking forward to the draft this year because I think that there'll be some surprises, but I really believe in my heart of hearts they're going to go all defense in the first round. And a lot of people disagree with me on that, but Charles Woodson updates. Haven't heard anything around that front. If they trade down, what would be an acceptable spot? That's a good question. We talked about that on the show. Who's that? Raider Wop. If they trade down, it's tough. It depends. It depends what goes. I think that, you could go probably down to 10 and be all right, depending on what you're doing, and what kind of value you're getting in the trade. I just don't see a lot of folks that are going to want to trade that high up to get Haskins or Murray. Now, they might go 5, 6 around that range, but I just don't see them trading all that way back to that. Carr will get another year. Gannon wasn't good year 1 either. I agree with that. Absolutely. Let's hope Johnny Townsend is gone. John Gruden likes him. We'll see what happens. Easton Stick as a backup. That's a name I'm not familiar with. I'll be honest with you. Raiders coming to Vegas. Yes. Stay in Oakland says that it's not true. Russell says name and colors staying in Oakland. Not true. That is not true. The name and colors are not staying in Oakland. Anyone who tells you that is full of it. Not even close. I don't know where that comes from, man. I think it's wishful thinking. One of the Oakland City Councilmen said that Mark offering high rent dollars to drop lawsuit. That could be possible. I did message back and forth today with Scott McKibben from the Oakland Coliseum Authority, and he told me talks were going on and progressing. So to me, progressing means they're making progress, and I would anticipate that they will be there next year, and I think it's a good thing. I know a lot of folks out here in Vegas and a lot of other people would like them to just move on, but there's just not a lot of great options this year, and doing it that way. Let's see on Facebook now why Raiders haven't signed a lease. They're still negotiating, Fred, as I just said, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, lots of trade opportunities. I see you guys talking back and forth here. AJ, makes no sense to get a quarterback this year and give Carr a chance when the following year's draft holds some potential. My point exactly, AJ. The draft class next year for quarterbacks much, much better. And so if I'm the Raiders, I'm not in a hurry unless there was a guy at the very top that you thought was the game changer, which I don't think there's a guy this year that is that way. So if it's me, I think to me all those game-changing guys, to me the top 10 guys in the draft overall are all defense. Some people would throw some offensive players in there. I don't think so. I think they're all defense. And so you draft what the strength of the draft is too. And so you have edge players, you have inside. People forget, they know the Raiders had no pass rush last year. Everybody wants an edge rusher. They need an edge rusher. If Josh Allen is there, I would take him in a heartbeat. If he's not there, would I take an inside defensive lineman? Absolutely. You have to have a strong inside. And so it helps free up the outside as well. So to me, you go where that is. And a lot of people get caught in drafting for a position. And you do have to fill positions, but you're going to draft the best player available, as Benjamin said in that clip a little while ago. And I think that's what the Raiders will do at defense. Now, they might surprise us with who. Instead of going with an edge rusher, they go inside, or they go defensive back. Maybe they go linebacker at the bottom of the first round, even with Burns out of Florida State. Those things could happen. I really believe that they could happen, and I think so. I have a lot of good friends who argue with me that they should not draft defense, including my friend up in Alaska. He knows who he is. AJ, yeah, would you rather have Derwin White at 4 or Devin Bush at 24? Good question. I'd rather have Devin White. That's my answer there. N'Keal Harry or Hawkinson. I like N'Keal Harry, not as a number one receiver, though. He's not the speed guy. He's the big guy. My daughter goes to Arizona State. She's about to graduate, so I've been following the Sun Devils very carefully. I love Harry. He goes up. Any 50-50 balls he's getting. He just does. So in the red zone, in a possession situation, you can throw the ball up to him, and you're going to get him. We talked a lot about him on the show on Sunday. If you haven't listened to the show on Sunday, by the way, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, SoundCloud, wherever you want to get it, you can get the show up on our website, too, silverandblacktoday.com. You can check that out and listen to what we had to say about N'Keal Harry. Great player, though, AJ. I agree with you there. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. From Chicago, man. All right. I'm a Park Ridge boy. I was born in Park Ridge, so I have Chicago roots. Andy, thanks for watching and for listening as well. All right, so that's some questions on Facebook. I'm going to hop over to Periscope now and see what's going on over here. We got a couple questions going on. Yeah, quarterbacks this year's class would be second or third round picks according... I can't read your name, Jojo Pash or something like that. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Any word on why Gruden dumped Tom Shaw? Kelsey Martinez is gone. That's correct. He said it was for personal reasons, so I don't know. That was not something, when it's personal reasons, hey, coaches come and go. I think that there are changes every year. The big one to me was Derek Ansley. It was too bad to see him go because I thought he did an excellent job, and I think they'll miss him. We'll see who they fill that spot with this coming year. But I will DJ Metcalf is wide receiver 1. Been too long since Raiders had a true. Yes, DK Metcalf is awesome. I don't think he'll be there for them, though, unless they want to take him at 4, which I would not do, of course. So I just don't think he'll be there. But a great receiver. We talked about him. Chris Reed on our website up at silverandblacktoday.com did a great piece on him as well. So if you head on over to the website, which I'm going to put down here, if you haven't been to our website, which I'm going to assume most of you have been because you watch the show or listen to the show, check it out. Chris has done like 11 already of draft target previews, and he's continuing to do some more. He does great work, and if you haven't watched his stuff or read his stuff, I should say, you really should. But he has a great piece there on DK Metcalf if you want to listen or know a little bit more about that. So make sure you check that out as well. Website, we always have new information up there, new stories, and different voices. Okay, we have Captain McPhail. You think the Raiders will take a linebacker in free agency? If so, who? Barquan. You know what? It's and then the comment right underneath you, by the way, man, is that Navarro Bowman watch. Linebackers is a situation where I think the Raiders have a couple good young linebackers, but they don't have true dominating starting linebackers. I'll see. I think they might take Burns at the bottom. If he's there at the bottom of the first round, I wouldn't be shocked if they took him there. I think he's the kind of player that fits nice into Gunther's system on defense, so we could see a linebacker there. You can see 8 to 10 new faces on starters. Yep, I agree. Raising Canes at the stadium. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Absolutely. We did a story back back when we first launched the website, and we were called Las Vegas Raiders Report. We did a story on what food would you want to see at stadium, because food, when you go to stadiums across the country, food is regional, right? So you might, if you're in the Bay Area, you go to a stadium there, you're going to see different things at different stadiums based on the food. Of course, the Bay Area's got great seafood, and you're going to have all kinds of things up there. Or you go across the bay into San Francisco to the Giants, to Oracle Park, and you have garlic fries, and you have all this kind of stuff, crab cake sandwiches, all kinds of neat stuff. So we asked the question, what would you have in Las Vegas? Knowing Las Vegas, for those of you outside, there is a very heavy, and it's been a very fast-growing Asian Pacific Islander population here in Las Vegas. So we have a lot of Vietnamese food. We have a lot of Korean food. We have a lot of Chinese food. We have a lot of also Hawaiians here. So they call Las Vegas the ninth island because we have so many Hawaiians who've moved over here. Great people. And there's a lot of Hawaiian restaurants. So I asked that question, and I said, and some of the answers were something like poke bowls or something Asian like that, or pho, right? So have some pho at the football game. But then also Hawaiian. Like Hawaiian barbecue would be fantastic, or Korean barbecue. So there's some option there. Obviously, Mexican food, too. We have a big Hispanic population, including my family, my wife, and my kids. So you could have Mexican, Cuban, El Salvadorian food. We even have a lot of African food here, too. So there's a lot of different things. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But, roll and smoke barbecue, it would be good. I like that much better than Famous Dave's, by the way. Unknown Raider guy. Oh, yeah. It's good to see, man. You changed your logo a little bit. So I think it'll be interesting. The stadium, that's going to be fun over the next year, is going to be what are we going to start rolling out. Now, we have some stories coming up in the next week or so around the naming rights of the new stadium here, so look out for that. Also, a story and a guest on our radio show to talk about this market, because one of the things that we heard about the Raiders moving here was going to be about the fact, Roberto's, was going to be about how small this market was, and how are the Raiders going to generate this revenue when it's not a big media market, it's not a big corporate market, the whole thing. We're going to have somebody on from Sports Business Journal who's going to talk about that, Sports Business Daily, and he's going to talk about that and tell us about that, and we'll have a story up on the website, too, to talk about those things. And marketing includes food, it includes merchandise, includes all those things, so we're gonna talk a little bit about that as well. So you were banned from an account. Stay in Oakland reported you. Yeah, it's funny too, because Unknown Raider guy, you told me that some folks up there think that you're me, which is really funny because I don't have time to deal with the folks in Oakland. There's a lot of them who listen to our radio show, read our website, and they send us messages. They're great folks. And again, I feel bad they're losing their team, but I do not troll anybody there. I don't have time to do it. I have 3 businesses, 5 kids, a wife, and a life, so don't have time to do that. Any name on the naming rights? Yeah, it's going to be silverandblacktoday.com stadium. We're paying the rights. No, just kidding. No, we've heard there was a recent launch of a pilot flight. I'm losing my mind here. Of a route from Las Vegas to Hawaii on Southwest Airlines, and the Southwest CEO was here. And so the reporter, a good friend of ours, Mick Akers, who used to cover the stadium issue, now covers everything to do with infrastructure, traffic, and whatnot, the airport over at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Mick asked the CEO of Southwest Airlines if they'd be interested, because they've been one of the names kind of bandied about over the last several months, and they don't do it. They're a low-cost airfare. He says, hey, look, we're a low-cost air carrier. We're not into spending a crap load of money on things like stadium rights. Does that mean they're not going to do it? No. But I've heard a couple automobile manufacturers. I've also heard that there has been a gaming partner, despite the fact that the NFL is warming to gaming. Of course, you heard about the big Caesars Entertainment deal with the Raiders, and then with the NFL. They've also made deals with others. So that could be a possibility, but my guess is it will be a big, huge consumer brand. The hockey arena here, which is T-Mobile Arena. So T-Mobile bought that one. I don't think they would buy the football stadium too, but there could be some big consumer brand that could do that. So it could be electronics brand. I've heard a couple names that I got to keep to myself because I don't want to divulge it, or I would give away the person who gave it to me. So I'm not going to talk about that. But we'll have some news coming about that pretty soon. But the stadium we had snow here in Las Vegas, if you guys didn't see, because all of us are crybabies here, so I'm sure you saw everybody posting about snow. But the stadium did not get snow. They got some flurries, but they did not get anything of accumulation. So the stadium is on track. If you hear anything about people talking about the stadium being delayed, it's not true. Again, the Laborers Local 872 is a sponsor of this show, of the website and of the radio show, and they have continued to tell me, we stay in touch with them constantly, there is no delay happening with the stadium. So anybody who tells you that is not correct. Let's see. Going to Facebook now, talking about Arden Key. That's good stuff. Also, if you guys think of anything that you want to see, always we want to be open to you as well as our readers and viewers, what you'd be interested. So guests on the radio show, stories on the website, feel free to always tweet at us, drop us a line, whatever you want to do, and let us know. We want to give you content you're not getting anywhere else. We can all rewrite content that other people write about. We try not to do that. I'd rather go a day without any content on the website than just take what someone else wrote at another publication and rewrite it and put it out there for you, because I think you guys are smart enough to find stuff on your own. Union, yep, there you go. But they should be very active in free agency. I would think so, but the free agency class is not that great. There's a couple guys that you talk about, Clowney out of Houston and stuff like that. Those guys might be available, and they might talk to them, but we'll see. I don't know how much they're going to want to spend on temporary solutions right now. I'm going over to YouTube now. My volume is pretty low. Angelo. Okay, I'm going to turn it up, man. You tell me. I appreciate the feedback. Okay, there we go. It might be because I was bending down and trying to get questions. There we go, Angelo. Need a lot. Defense, please lay off the quarterback in order for any maturation to happen especially with possible rookie receivers and overall offense. Yeah, I agree. That's the thing, though, too. If you really know and watch your football, you can judge a quarterback not just based on stats. Is he making the reads? Is he making the throws? If he makes the throws and they're dropped, or if he makes the throws and the receiver ran the wrong route, that's not on the quarterback. That's on the receiver. So I think you're right. I think you have to watch that. Some people get caught up in individual statistics, and that's good. Mark Davis, of course, obviously not the Mark Davis, but he says we must get every single pick right in the draft. Can't wait. Yeah, but nobody does. Even Bill Belichick doesn't. So yeah, the first round you got to get that right. I agree with that. I think you can't make a big mistake in the first round, especially now, or even in the top of the second. But not every draft pick pans out. It just doesn't happen. But we'll see how they do. But I think it is a pivotal draft, and I think I wrote a piece last year saying you either trust in John Gruden or you don't. A lot of you don't. You just don't. And it's sort of like a prove it mentality, and I don't have any problem with that. I tend to think he's going to do fine, but he has to prove it. And now Mike Mayock is there. I think that is a good tandem. We were a little concerned, right, when John Gruden was there and they pushed Reggie McKenzie out, which we understand. But who was going to be there to kind of keep Gruden in check and to be the yin of the yang? And I think that being Mayock was a good choice for them and the right personality for him to do that. So that's good news. Okay, so that was on YouTube. Heading over to Periscope. I'm behind Gruden. Good to hear. Behind the team. There you go. Yeah, no, I agree. Look, you can complain about it. It's been 1 year. After 3 or 4 years, if a coach isn't doing what he's supposed to, especially someone now with the way the Raiders are going and what they're coming into here in Las Vegas in their new home, I agree with you. You got to give it time. You can't give it too much time. It's a business, and the business is about winning. John Gruden's got a 10-year contract. He's not worried. He's not in any hurry. They want to build it the right way. And again, Chris Reed at our website wrote a piece last year when they hired Gruden, said that Gruden would try to build the Raiders the Patriot way. Ooh, I know it's the Patriots, but you can't argue with the success. And I know here come the cheater comments, but nonetheless, the fact is he's going to do it the right way. And if it takes longer, it takes a little bit longer. So I think people need to be a little bit patient. All right, Raider Homer, fake Mark Davis, yeah. Every time I check progress camera at the stadium, I think it looks like the Death Star when getting rebuilt. Yeah, when they first dug out the soil there and they kind of made the shape for the foundation, it looked just like the Millennium Falcon. In fact, somebody kind of superimposed a picture on it. It was kind of funny, but it's going to be a very cool stadium, very nice. AJ Mayock alone saves us draft capital from trading for wide receiver this year. I like that one. He wants to win for Oakland. You know, yeah, I mean, he does, but he doesn't. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I'm sure John Gruden does appreciate so much, and I believe he does, the Oakland fans, and would love nothing more than to win for them. But you can't sit there and try to patch holes in the boat with a bunch of free agents to try to win now and screw yourself long term when you're moving into a new stadium, into a new headquarters about 4 minutes from my house here over in Henderson, and do all that just to win now. You can't do that. It's just not the way that you build a consistent winner. I'm sure Raider fans, no matter what you feel about Gruden right now or Mark Davis, you want a consistent winner, right? You don't want to just have 2 years where you ascend, you go, maybe you get to a championship game, maybe you get to Super Bowl, you win or you don't, and then you're crap again. You got to build that long-term organization that'll deliver you championships and will deliver you wins and a consistent winner over time. You don't want to just go for the quick hit. AJ, they can't afford to not take the best player this year. If any of the top three players, Bosa, Williams, or Allen, are there, you got to take them. Dude, absolutely. We are of one mind on that. I agree 100%. I think Williams or Allen, to me, I think Bosa will be gone. We'll see what happens at the Combine. And some players elevate themselves there, but I think all three of those guys are no-brainers, and any of them that you take, they're going to be Pro Bowl guys. I really believe that, especially Williams and Bosa. And I think Allen will be too, but I think I have a little more questions on him, but not that many. So, AJ, that sounds like a Raider fan right there, but they'll be gone. I know, man. I told you, being a Padres fan, all the years of losing just racks up on your mentality, and when you think things are going to go, you're like, okay, we got a top 4 pick, and then boom, right? You think that the other shoe's going to drop. So I get your feeling there. I hope you're wrong for the organization. I think that they all do it. You need that banner. DM me. I'll send you one. Absolutely. Allen, not a scheme fit. Not true. Why do you say that, Grizz? I think he's fine on the outside, and they can fit him in there, and I think Gunther could. Now, again, I think Quinnen Williams is overall just a better player, and so if it was between Williams and Allen, even though Allen's an edge guy, I would take Williams in a heartbeat. But I just think he's going to be gone. I think the 49ers may take him. McCoy, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, DM me on Twitter for that banner. I'll send you one of the flags back here. Is Gary a reach at 4? You know, I've seen a lot of mock drafts with Gary at 4 for the Raiders, and I think so. I do. I mean, he's a good player. I think he'd be a fine Raider. But I liked watching him in college a lot. I just don't understand why so many people think that the Raiders are so interested in him. But you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, too, because I think we talked about it on the show on Sunday. There is a lot of this is a chess match with the draft. No team is going to come out and actually tell you who they want unless you're the number 1 pick. If you're the number 1 pick, it doesn't matter. So if you're the Cardinals, you don't have to hide anything because nobody's picking ahead of you, so you don't have to fool anybody. There is some finagling there with trading if you want to trade down if you're the Cardinals, but overall, teams are not going to tell you exactly who's number 1, 2, and 3 on their board because they don't want other teams to know. So when it comes to Gary, I don't know if people in the organization or scouts and whatnot are talking a lot about him with the Raiders, and so suddenly people think that's where they're going. But certainly that could be a possibility. I could see it happening, but I don't like him at number 4. Friend at Michigan said he wasn't used right. Yeah, I've heard that as well. If you read actually Mike Mayock back in the college football season before all happened with the Raiders. He talked about that a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, I think this is the fun thing, and this is why I caution people who get mad when people talk about the Raiders doing things that they may end up not even being close to doing, and that includes the whole Carr situation. Again, I believe Derek Carr should be the starting quarterback next year, but to talk about options, Kyler Murray, Haskins, whoever, Drew Lock, doesn't hurt. I mean, it's fun. It makes the off-season, to me, a little more bearable because at least you're talking hypotheticals, crazy stuff. I mean, Kelly on my show, we were having a cigar at a lounge here in town, and he's like, hey, I got the perfect trade for Aaron Rodgers to come to the Raiders, and he laid it all out. And, of course, it wasn't going to happen. I mean, come on. But, from a football sense and how he laid it out, it was fun. So I think you got to take a little bit of the grain of salt with that and understand that they're not going to do a lot of this stuff, but it doesn't necessarily hurt to talk about it. Also, if you disagree and you have a good point, refute it, I like that. If I have a point of view and you come at me and say, no, you're wrong and here's why, and I see the logic in it, I'll say, hey, good point. And I don't have any problem with that. So, Angela, you're talking about Carr. He needs talent around him. I'm thinking Dallas when they used all those picks and guys nobody heard of. Jay Novacek, Daryl Johnson. Yep. Leon Lett. Yep. How much merit do you think hate from the media and fan base killed the morale of the team? That's a great question. I don't think that kills the morale of a team. I really don't. I think in a team where it's sort of insular. Yeah, of course they hear stuff from the outside. And you know what? The Bay Area media, is it positive? No. Why would it be positive? They were a bad team. There was some dysfunction there at the beginning. The organization was going through a lot of change, so they wrote about it. Now, there are some writers up there that I think are excessive, but that's their audience. People are mad that they're leaving. So always remember when you read something, they're not writing to make people happy. They're writing to get people to read them. And so if your readership, for the most part, is Bay Area based, and most of them are angry that the team is leaving and think Mark Davis is an idiot and think that they don't know, that the fact that they don't know where they're playing is a travesty, all that kind of stuff, then they're going to write about it. So I'm always of one. I hear people complain. I'll use a political thing, and I don't like to get political, and I'm not going to get political, but I hear people like on the left or the right complain about celebrities when they come out with their political views and, oh, you're an idiot and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I mean, if you're a movie star, do we really care what you think about economics? I don't know. So I think with that situation, if you're a Raider fan for life and you're not concerned with them leaving, then you just ignore it. But I don't think it gets them. I think that the pressure on Gruden, I think the national media overall has been very negative on John Gruden. And you know what? If I'm John Gruden, that's fine. And I'll use it with my own business and my own career because even with this website and some of the things that we've done and been through and folks that we've had and then don't have anymore, you're going to get haters. And to me, for success, haters are vitamins. Bring them because it just motivates people more. And I think that's the case with the Ray. I think that stuff can help motivate a team a little more. So, hey, there's my man, Stacy. I think from the Raider fan perspective, why is always our quarterback the media speculates about? Winston, Mariota, Stafford. No, dude, absolutely, Stacy. I think you're right on that. I think that the speculation, for some reason, I don't know where, and I think it goes back to what I was just talking about with the overall national media. I'm not talking about Bay Area media even. National media, for some reason, when John Gruden flipped that switch from Monday Night Football to coach, everything got negative, and that includes his players. And so John Gruden's not happy, and we saw it with the Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith Carr thing, right? Suddenly, Carr, he's not Carr. Carr is not his guy. Well, how do you know he's not his guy? I mean, I don't think they're speaking from any knowledge. They don't cover the team. Now, if somebody who covers the team on a daily basis was writing that, which I don't think they would because it would jeopardize, I think, probably some of their contacts. But if they did, then you could have a little more concern and say, okay, these are guys and women who are close to the team every single day, so they're hearing conversation. From a national perspective, and I'm talking about if you're on YouTube, the Stacy Nova on there, who's on Twitter as well, a brilliant guy and does a lot of great breakdowns on Derek Carr and talks about how he's. And I said this actually on the radio show, Stacey, that Derek Carr is the most underappreciated quarterback in the NFL. Because I think he is when you look at it statistically. And you can't put wins and losses on him all the time. He's got his share of wins and losses that he may have contributed to, but that doesn't mean it. But, yeah, I don't know. I think it's also the Raider thing. Again, frankly, I think the Raiders have been down for so long, and people don't want to see them come back. They don't want to see the Raiders rise. And because the Raiders now are set up, I think, to succeed long-term with their own stadium, with their own headquarters and practice facility here in Las Vegas, with a coach and a GM and an organization that's all trending up from a planning and a purpose standpoint, they don't want it to happen. They like the Raiders down, the Raiders mystique, the negative side, if you will, that they look at the Raiders from that perspective. I think that's what feeds into it. I really do. I think it's why, Stacey, you did your piece, and we still need to talk about it, about the number of penalties that the Raiders have gotten over the years. Everybody thinks it's kind of just like, well, it's subjective because of Raider fans saying that it's true. No, it's actually statistically true, as you proven. So, yeah, the media pile on, so it puts the fans on edge. No, that's true too. It's tough. The media has a responsibility. There's no doubt. But I don't think we can blame the media for everything, because at the end of the day, it's something that I even tell my kids, right? Which is, you control how you react to things. And even if people are being unfair, you control how you react. Doesn't mean you can't, and I think you do a great job of, by the way, you use facts and data to show that they're wrong. And usually that conversation ends, right? Because they can't come back at you. When we lend to emotion, which we do as fans a lot, then I think you might lose the argument because they just kind of walk away. But I agree. I think the media plays some into it, but I would be careful about blaming them for it. But I think the narrative sorry, I lost my train of thought because of the comment, is it safe to purchase a Nate Peterman jersey? If you do, and he starts a game next year, I'll eat it. I honestly think the Murray interest is a ploy to increase value of our pick and jump. Grizz, absolutely. I think that goes back to what I was talking about with the chess game, right? Which is, you have to remember that nobody's going to tell you what they're doing, and nobody's going to give you their master plan and who their draft board is. They're not going to do it. They want you to think one thing, misdirection, do something else. So I think that's very possible when it does it. They love to knock Raiders while they're down, absolutely. But I will tell you, Fred, on Periscope, the Raiders have been down for a long time. And so when you're talking about 20 years, it makes it pretty easy. That's why what you have to do is win. Just win, baby, right? Al Davis. If you win, it all goes away. It all goes away. And I think if you and I were to get back right now, 4 years from now, I think you're going to see this Raider organization doing well. And that's not because I am a homer. That is because I really believe, having spent time around the organization and seeing what they're doing, things that aren't talked about around this community and around the project, around the stadium, around the headquarters, around what they're doing internally, I really believe it's going to happen. So we'll see how it goes. But let's see. What other questions we got? Devin White. Yeah. What about Devin White, hardcore Raider? We talked about him a little earlier. You trust Chucky, just win Johnny. Yeah, I do too. I think he's going to be fine. Which wide receiver do you like in the first round? Well, there's three. I talked a little bit. Obviously, they're not going to take one at 4. So then you're looking at 24, 27. I don't think N'Keal Harry gets down there either. I would like him if I'm the Raiders. But there's a few guys. Go check out some of the players that Chris Reed has on our website. Go to silverandblacktoday.com, and he's got 11 draft previews there, including wide receivers. So make sure you check that out and do that. But, wide receivers, people hate on me when I say this, but Bill Walsh, I know he had Jerry Rice and a few others, but Bill Walsh didn't believe really in paying wide receivers, because you can always get wide receivers. Now, that doesn't mean that when you get a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent, you don't keep them and pay them. Don't get me wrong. But you can always find receivers, and I think that's true. And I think that they will. I think there's going to be plenty of guys this year and next year in the draft and a couple free agents that they could go grab. What's going on? What's going to happen with Cook? Again, I think with age, I like Cook, man. Jared Cook is a great player, and he was so good for the Raiders last year, and he was the guy that Derek Carr went to. But at his age, I'd be cautious about how much I give him. So if Cook is willing to stay with the Raiders and maybe take a little less money than he could get on the open market, then maybe he's back. Or if John Gruden really believes in him, then I think that they'll do what they can to bring him in. But we'll see. I think that's where we talked about it on the show on Sunday. It's too bad that draft and free agency aren't switched. Like free agency to me should open up after the draft. Because then teams know what they need to do and know what to fill. Of course, the players want it the other way because then you're going to go spend money on guys, and then you could end up drafting somebody or a draft falls a certain way, and you suddenly don't need who you signed. But, yeah, Angelo, I agree again. Yeah, it's not to say that I don't think that they should sign Jared Cook. I just don't think they should sign him for too much money because even though they have a ton of cap space, again, they don't have to worry about cap space. Raiders philosophy with linebackers over on Periscope. Yep, I agree, Real. Yep, I agree with that. That's definitely true with linebackers too there. Shannon Sharp. What's that? Oh. I'm a fan for life. I don't know any other way. Yep, I hear you, Pat. Both tight ends out of Iowa. Yes. No doubt. Good stuff. I agree. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things they could do, and I think that it's going to be a fun off season, and we're going to see. What I would tell you, though, is, and I think, again, I talked about Raider fans and how smart and how good they are, is just be careful not to get too emotional. If they at number 4, if they do something unusual, just be ready for it. But something tells me they're not. Something tells me it's going to be one of those defensive guys. And, again, I think all defense in the first round. I really do. I really do. Unless there's just somebody there that they can't resist because they're such a great talent. And in that case, they could end up going wide receiver. They could end up going somewhere else. But I just think it's going to be D-line. It's going to be linebacker, perhaps defensive back. But then also offensive line, you never know there too. I know it would kill people to take another offensive lineman. I don't think there's anybody in the top 5. But at the same time, that's another need as well. Cook would be great because it gives Derek familiar wide receiver, and Cook can help along with rookie tight end they take. AJ, I agree. Again, it just comes down to price, man. That's all. Yep. No, you guys all have great comments on stuff. I agree. Going between the 3 channels, I'm trying to get to all the questions I can, and without making you angry. Ed Oliver will dominate. I like Ed Oliver too. I like him less than I did at the beginning of the college football season, that's we'll see. But Chris did a breakdown of him, so check it on silverblocktoday.com. You can read about Ed Oliver there. But he's a good kid. He's got a great motor too. Why is Tom Cable highly regarded? Says Raider Jude. I don't know, Raider Jude. Don't know. John Gruden likes him, and that's all that really matters, I guess. I think they get a free agent, need vet presence on DL. So you're thinking edge. Trade for AB, 3rd pick would be a steal. Okay. I hear you there. Ed Oliver's a good football player. I hope we don't pass on him. I don't think they would pass on him, Pat. I think that if Allen or Williams are there, though, I think I would take them. But Oliver is definitely a great player. Will Chris Warren make an appearance this year? Yeah, I think he'll make an appearance. Is he the starting running back? Is he the answer? We don't have enough information. People get enamored with him because he had some good plays and some good performances in last preseason. But I don't think he's the answer because you don't know. It's all about consistency in professional football, and you got to be able to show that. And I don't think he's shown it yet. He hasn't had a chance to. But yeah, okay with that, Oliver. Yes, no doubt. It'd be great. That's the thing. Again, what I was saying earlier to remind you guys, is that it is a deep, deep, deep defense draft, right? So you're gonna have your choice of a lot of guys. That's why your question. Somebody had a question earlier. Excuse me. About trading down and how far could they trade down? That's why I think you can actually trade down. I still wouldn't go past 10, but maybe that's just me mentally. But they could because there's so many guys there, and it's so deep on the defensive side of the ball. Should the Raiders go after Tevin Coleman? I'm unsure on that one. I know there's a lot of fans out there who want to see them go after Tevin Coleman. I don't know if I'd take a flyer on him yet. Yeah, Ominahu, right? I hope I'm saying that correct. In the bottom of the first or second. Yeah, he's a guy too that we had a couple. There's been a couple mock drafts that had the Raiders actually snagging him too at the bottom of the first, I think. There's a couple. The mock drafts come out so fast it's hard to keep track, but it's good. Sorry, the light's getting hot, so I'm having some vitamin water zero. They are not a sponsor, but I'm showing it anyway. Maybe they'll jump on board. You need a dance partner to trade down. That is the statement of the night, Jude, because you're right. You can talk all you want about trading down, but if there's nobody who wants to trade up into your spot, and oh, by the way, give you what you want, then it doesn't really matter. We have some conversation over on YouTube about Arden Key. He needs to beef up. Yes. You know, that's the thing with Arden Key. He actually had a good year. He just, as Gunther said, I think it was one of the last press conferences of the year, he said he just couldn't finish. How many times did Arden Key get within a quarter yard, within inches of getting to the quarterback, but he couldn't finish? And I think that's where the strength and the size come in. He's got that speed. He can come off that edge if he can bulk up. But I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that Arden Key, though, is going to be a rotational guy. I don't know that he is your big answer. But if he can make the progress in year two, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he does become that. Chris Warren equal fullback? I don't think so. Yeah, he's big, but how much? By the way, Smith, they signed Smith last year at fullback, and I know some of it was derailed by the way the team performed and wins losses. But how much did they use the fullback? Wasn't a lot as much as we thought with John Gruden. I think John Gruden's offense is evolving based on the game. People wanted to say the game passed him by. I think he's adjusting. Is he learning too? Absolutely. But I do think that fullback will be interesting. And what do they do? Optimus Key, yes. His Twitter handle, right? Great conversation on all three channels. Man, you guys are on fire tonight. Monday night too. Yeah, Buckner, DL coach, AJ, absolutely. That guy is the reason I like. Not only is he a good coach, great coach, I think, but he's got that fire that you want in a defensive line guy to get that young, because you're going to have a lot of young guys back there too now as they kind of jettison some of the age guys. That especially if you draft young defense, you got a guy coming out of college and a guy who's really going to fire them up, and I think that that's going to be fantastic. So I agree with you. Great hire there. Gruden tried with fullback, but the guy couldn't deliver. That could be too. I also think you had a really beat up offensive line. They couldn't do a lot of things last year, right, that they wanted to do because of the injuries and because of the inexperience. Smith's not a real fullback. That's a good argument. Has there been any ridiculous speculation? This is from Stacy again. Since the NFL settled with Cap because application of the NFL are afraid of discovery for what? Was it all play into Oakland antitrust lawsuit? It's a good question. I don't think that those two cases are linked. But you're absolutely right. The reason the Kaepernick and NFL settled was the NFL doesn't want discovery. You're right. Do you want all those emails and things like that? Did all 32 NFL owners collude against Colin Kaepernick? I don't think so. My opinion, I believe in the right of people to say what they want. I don't agree with Colin Kaepernick. That's my own view. I think he's misguided in some ways on some things. But I agree with his right to be able to do it. Now, whether he can do it on the football team as an employee of that team, that's up to the team. I would like to see a team give him a chance for two reasons. One is, can he play? If he goes out to try out for a team and doesn't make it, there's your answer. If he goes out for a team and does make it and is willing to abide by rules and be a good teammate, why not? I don't know. I'm not a big Colin Kaepernick fan. I thought he had that one great year and that was it. But does he get? Just some of the guys who get signed, I think he gets a chance. And if the Raiders signed him as a backup, would I care? No. And in some ways it might be a good move. In some ways it might not. But we'll see. Maybe I'll write that. Maybe I'll write about it. We'll see. But a good question, Stacey. I think the NFL has a lot of issues, a lot of legal entanglements right now, and so they're careful with what is put out there. And I worked in a lot of big corporations during my career, and one of the things I do know from being inside, and I won't mention any names particularly, but is that sometimes you have nuisance lawsuits from consumers, whoever it may be, and really you look at it, it's sort of like insurance, like life insurance. It's like an actuary. You look at it and you say, do we just give this guy $30 million to go away, or do we want to have our name dragged in the mud and do all this stuff? And in most cases, the answer is pay them to go away. Okay, and so I think that's what happened there. But definitely, nobody wants discovery, especially when you have communications, perhaps that have things embarrassing for owners and embarrassing for the league itself. He was almost a Raider, yeah. John Ritchie, I remember John Ritchie, absolutely. Big bruising John Ritchie. Tough dude, man. That guy was a truck. Let's see. I think Raiders should trade Osemele and save $10 million and draft younger offensive linemen. Interesting. If you've seen Osemele's got his weight down, he looks like he's really motivated to get back. Being a Vegas native, are the locals becoming Raider fans? I am not a Vegas native. My wife is. But I went to UNLV. I've now lived here twice. There's a lot of Raider fans here already. That's the thing, too. There was a story that I was actually quoted in that the amazingly talented and accomplished writer in San Francisco, Ann Killian, did last hockey season. She came out here to cover a Golden Knights game. I think it was the playoff game against the Sharks. And she did a story where she was going around trying to find game-watching parties and all of that. And she kind of just said that, well, there's not really that much interest here. And my point to her, and I disagreed with her piece, was that at that point last year, you're still 2 years away. So there's fans out. Do they go out to game-watching parties? Not everybody does that. Some people do that every single weekend of their life. It's all good, but not everybody does. And it's hard to get excited about the team coming to Las Vegas when they're so far away from it. Now, the stadium, every time you drive by the stadium, I think it's getting more and more. You see Raiders gear everywhere. I see Raider cups at 7-Eleven. I see Raider keychains at 7-Eleven. I'm starting to see it more and more. So I think the excitement is building and all of that. Okay. Will the stadium have a new black hole section? Good question. I'm going to try to get the black hole folks, because it is, as you know, it's its own entity. It's its own brand and company in essence. I'm going to try to get them to come on the radio show. We've had some resistance from people who are well known in Oakland, whether they be fan, I don't know what you call them, fan mascots. Some of the people who dress up and are in the black hole. We've tried to get them on our show, and they decline, or they kind of say they will and then they don't. So I don't know what that's all about, but we'll try to get the black hole people on the radio show and ask them that question. My guess is they will be here, and there will be some interesting new. You can't call them traditions yet, but there'll be some new wrinkles, I think, that you guys will like that we can't really talk about yet, but they'll happen, and I think you guys will be happy with it once you come here. What would be key free agent signings Raiders could make? I don't think this free agent class there's going to be a big splash. I mean, you heard some of the names, Clowney, of course, and then you got the Bell situation and even Antonio Brown. I know he's not a free agent, but you have some things going on there. So we'll see what happens, but I just don't know. I just don't know what they could do. I don't think it's the kind of year where you're going to go get a big free agent that's going to make a big difference, because I think you're 2 years away from doing that. Name of the stadium we talked about earlier. No news yet, but we're going to have some soon on it. Can we get Zenny or Grizz Jones on the show for an interview? No. Grizz Jones. I know Grizz, but let's see. Landon Collins. Interesting name. There you go. What else? Let's see. Let's jump over to Facebook. They're going crazy on Facebook. Brandon Marshall. Yeah. Brandon Marshall is a Vegas dude. He's also another guy who kneeled, right? That would fit in if they signed Kaepernick too, so they could do that along with the. I actually like if you're going to protest, I thought that Marshawn Lynch's way of just sitting was actually a better way to do it, but that's just me. Any buzz on PSLs and sales are going? Yes, they're going incredibly well. You heard we did a story a couple weeks ago where the prices for some PSL buyers had gone down. The Raiders called them and basically said, we're going to give you some money back. And so they did that, but it's going really well. They're now into phase 3. People who are in phase 3 are now into the lower priced PSLs, and we've seen that some of those are as low as $2,500. And from what I'm hearing, there's also going to be some even lower price than $2,500 PSLs coming. I don't know how many, probably not a ton of them, but the sales is not going to be a problem. Anybody who thought that was going to be a problem, I don't think really understood Las Vegas and what makes things go here. We saw it with the hockey team last year, the Golden Knights. Everybody said, oh, it's going to be all opposing fans. It's Vegas. Nobody knows hockey. People forget, though, in Las Vegas, you have people from Pennsylvania, New York, Chicago, Canada. You have a lot of hockey people here, and they adopted their new hometown team. And there were a few games last year where you had an unusual amount. Philadelphia comes to mind, of folks who were for the visiting team, but not a ton. So I don't think your Raiders. And then plus, remember, people from Oakland travel, people from Los Angeles travel, and then you have all your Raider fans here. So I think you're going to see a stadium that's going to be packed, and they're not having any problem selling PSLs at all. So anybody who talks about that, I think, is all wet and doesn't really know the situation. Will Beast Mode be back? I'll say no. Trey Flowers, no. I agree. Section of honoring Raider Greats Hall of Fame. There will be a Hall of Fame in the stadium, yes. What specifically their plans are to do that and honor them, I know there's going to be a Hall of Fame in the stadium, an actual facility, a room or several rooms where there's going to be a Hall of Fame. And whether they're doing a Ring of Honor or something like that, I'm not sure. Hopefully we'll get details on that pretty soon. The other thing I knew they're doing, too, is at the Raiders' new practice facility in Henderson, which is just a quick little suburb and really about 5 miles from the stadium, they're going to do a Hall of Fame there as well and have some sort of fan experience and fan facilities at the headquarters and practice facilities. So when the Raiders are practicing there or have camp or OTAs, there will be very fan-friendly things going on. There's some really unique stuff, again, that I can't talk about yet, but when we can release that stuff to you, we will. It's going to be really cool. So even when you come during the off-season, if you're part of Raider Nation, you'll be able to head over there and check out a Hall of Fame in addition to the one that'll be at the stadium. By the way, if you're in Las Vegas before all of this happens, go to the Preview Center, which is located at Town Square. It's a shopping center on the Las Vegas Strip on the very south end, Las Vegas Strip, and right at Sunset. You'll see in the Preview Center they have some really cool. They have Super Bowl trophies. They have one of Al Davis's white satin jackets and one pair of Al Davis's sunglasses, which is really cool too. So they have some neat artifacts and memorabilia there. Well, Flacco to the Broncos. Yeah, I don't. Jay Burrows, one of our writers, part-time writers, he wrote a piece back several months ago saying that Flacco would be a good choice for the Raiders. So he did end up in the AFC West, but it was not in Oakland / Las Vegas / wherever. And so I think it's not a good move for them because they don't have that young. Now, if they trade up or if they go get a quarterback in this year's draft, then I don't think it's a bad move. I think you might have like a Mahomes situation where you had Alex Smith there for a year and then Mahomes is ready to take over in year 2. So we'll see what happens with Flacco. I think Flacco's on the down end of his career, but at the same time, I think he's not terrible and he's a good veteran for the locker room. Yeah, no problem, man. Yes, well, can you see the model for the stadium at the Preview Center? That's a yes and a no, and I'll explain to you. There is a model. It's a very detailed, cool model, but it's in the back area where you make appointments to buy tickets. Now, you can make an appointment to talk to them about season tickets and PSLs. You're not committed to buy it if you do that. So if you're going to go there and you want to see the model, make an appointment first to talk to them about ticket options, and then you'll see the model. Okay, that's the download on that one. Flacco's trash. Glad Denver grabbed him. Okay, if you say so. In this stadium, is there going to be a statue of Al with him saying just so you know, Vegas was my idea. It was his idea, absolutely. We know of the torch, obviously. If you guys have seen the renderings of the stadium in the north end of the stadium where it opens and you'll see a view of the Las Vegas Strip, there's going to be the Eternal Flame that's going to be very silver, and it's going to have Al on the side of it. So that one's being built, and that's going to be there. Statues of him, I'm sure they will be something. There's got to be something there. And yeah, Al Davis spent a lot of time here. In fact, a gentleman that is very well known here in Las Vegas and actually did play-by-play for the Raiders back in the 60s. His name was Bob Bloom. Bob was a longtime broadcaster here in Las Vegas as well with the minor league baseball team, and then UNLV, various sports, including UNLV Lady Rebel basketball, where I used to call games with him. When I worked at UNLV back in the day, Bob and I were roommates and on the road, and Bob would tell me stories about Al Davis. They were very close up until the day he died. And so, yeah, I'm sure there will be some cool Al Davis stuff, no doubt about it. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to wrap it up. Yes, he used to spend his birthday here. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody, man. It was cool. All of you guys for joining me tonight for this little impromptu off-season Monday night chat. But it was great talking with Raider fans all the time. Everybody's always so knowledgeable and has great takes and great opinions, and so I appreciate you guys doing that. Remember, check out the website, silverandblacktoday.com. Also, our radio show, please tune in. It doesn't matter if you're not in Las Vegas. We're on from 8 to 10 a.m. Sundays on CBS Sports Radio 1140, but it doesn't matter where you are. You can stream it on radio.com, whether you're on a computer or on your phone. There's a radio.com app which gets you news, music, and sports from around the country. It's really cool. Entercom, the parent company who owns our CBS Sports radio station here, that's their baby, and they have amazing stuff there, including the Bay Area stuff if you want to listen up there too. So listen to us there. We also archive the show. You can get them on demand on iTunes and everywhere else you get podcasts and radio shows. So check that out. We'll be doing more videos over the course of the off season and some special stuff coming up for the Combine and the Draft. So make sure you do that. I appreciate you guys always. Without you, the website, the radio show, the video, none of it exists. So thank you very much for your support. We always try to do what we can to bring you good and unique information, and always want to get better at it. So drop us a note if you have any suggestions. We appreciate it. For everybody here at Silver and Black Today, this is Scott Branson. We'll see you later.